is done and dusted. Going to game number 2, we have Purple and StrifeCro. This one's really big for StrifeCro. He is in 7th place right now in Division A. We have Priests being banned on both sides, both players protecting Warrior. TJ, you look happy.
Surprised, to say the least.
I saw the corners of those lips moving upwards.
As much as Warrior mirrors can
formation.
sometimes be painful because of their length, I think that there's a lot of micro decisions in those games that can make a huge impact throughout the whole game. Whereas Priest mirrors, sometimes there's not. If sometimes the game feels like it's unwinnable after like turn 2 if your opponent has a good start.
Versus in Control Warrior mirrors,
there's a play that you could make on turn 3 that could impact you on turn 35. They're hard to see and they're hard to spot, but and those games can be very long. Yes, I understand. We've seen a lot of them, but when you start to watch more and more Priest mirrors, you start to appreciate Warrior mirrors more, which is kind of funny.
Nuance.
Also, it's different from Purple's strategy yesterday, where he protected Druid. So it might be because of lineups. He was going up against Firebat yesterday, who had the OTK Paladin, which makes things a little bit different. Whereas StrifeCro he does not have the OTK Paladin.
Yeah, StrifeCro is running the Druid, Warrior, Priest, Warlock.
Yes.
And then Firebat, instead of having the Priest, Warlock, had Paladin, Shaman. Firebat, one of the few people not bringing Priest in his lineup. A very bold call, but obviously it worked out for him. And then on StrifeCro's end, StrifeCro is playing a lineup that a few other people are playing, and I mean, one of them is Purple.
This place is scary.
And with the ban on the Warrior, I think that's specifically them trying to say, I think I need to be good against Priest. And a lot of people are protecting Priest first queuing Priest.
Behold,
incidentally, Purple was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Ban the Priest, ban the Warrior. Firebat made the joke. It's because yesterday people wanted to go out on Friday night, but on Saturday, now that everyone's done partying, it's time to get back to business.
Yeah, I think the two main facets of the Warrior Protect is, one, no Shaman in either lineup. So Warrior all of a sudden goes up in value.
Yes.
And two, you have two good matchups. You have Priest and you have Warlock. Now, you're going to get one of those, and we obviously saw both Priest banned. That's just because Priest is good in a nutshell and good against the other decks in the field, and they don't want to throw it up to like a 50-50 and play a Priest mirror in game 1, because then that puts them at a disadvantage if they lose. They'd rather have more agency in that pick ban phase, so they give themselves more options by banning away the Priest. So I think the absence of Shaman makes the Warrior Protect much more appetizing.
Yep, that makes sense to me. Nourish, Hidden Oasis, or Ancient of Lore. I think Nourish is the play, because you are playing the Chef Nomi, you're playing the King Feoris, you're playing all these little late game combinations, and Nourish is going to be really crucial to ensuring that you get to that part of the game.
Yep.
IMO.
Yeah, sometimes it can feel awkward because if you don't have a Nourish in hand, you really want the Nourish to get the ramp going, to get the card draw going. But then usually like one or maybe even both Nourishes later on in the game become very difficult to use unless you're able to empty your hand, which is hard with as many expensive cards as you play. Nomi, Cenarius, King Feoris, the Hidden Oasis.
It's so interesting, by the way, that you brought up that Control Warrior versus Quest Shaman. Now that Shaman's off this matchup grid, that Warrior gets better, because statistically, at every rank, including Legend, Warrior has the edge over Shaman.
I disagree with those stats. I've played the matchup a lot from both sides, and also just in watching it in Grandmasters, I feel like Shaman just has an edge.
Because people play it poorly, right? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe not poorly.
People are bad.
They just play it differently. You do have to play it differently. In a lot of matchups, you're playing for tempo. In Warrior, you're playing...
Call it like it is, TJ.
It's bad for the matchup, yes.
It sucks to suck.
It's bad for the matchup. It's not bad in general. If you play,
so nice.
If you play the exact same way with the exact same cards against Warrior and against Druid, you can handedly beat the Druid and handedly lose to the Warrior.
TJ message, TLDR, to all the shamans out there is get good.
Get good.
But more importantly...
Against Warrior.
Yeah.
Stay the same against the other decks.
Yeah,
You guys
TJ
are doing,
doesn't play Warrior.
You guys are doing great. I do play Warrior. I played Warrior a lot on Thursday.
Not today. You're playing Quest Druid.
I was playing Quest Druid and Zoo Warlock today. I felt like we were going to see more of those decks, but people keep bringing Zoo Warlock and not picking it, so...
I played a lot of the decks that people shouldn't be playing. I was playing Cyclone Mage. I was playing mid-range Hunter with Master's Call.
And Stampeding Kodo.
I did not have enough cards to finish it because I'm playing on my free-to-play account. So I was like, oh, I have a Stampeding Kodo. There's a lot of priests out there. And I just kept sniping like the Acolytes and the Amets and stuff on curve. It felt so good.
Just put in Mozzie.
I don't have Mozzie. It's an epic.
Mozzie's an epic?
Yeah, also it messes...
I don't think it's an epic. Isn't it a rare?
It also messes with my Master's Call.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Don't play Master's Call. Play something better.
I thought Mozzie Horror was an epic.
It is an epic. You're actually right.
Okay.
I thought it was a rare, but I think I'm being blinded by just Mozzie Horror's blue coloring in general.
StrifeCro needs to deal with this Armadillo. Does have the ability to swipe this turn. Could end up sweetening the deal with even a War Druid Lodi to be put into the mix. The thing is, he wants to get ready for a King Feoris because he does have the Floop in hand. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spells, which means that if he dumps a spell, he'll be perfectly fine with the King Feoris. Maybe in this position, StrifeCro even feels good about Starfall.
Yeah, Starfall's a clean clear on the board, and he gets to keep the War Druid Lodi.
The only thing is that this attack does end up... Actually, it doesn't matter, because if you clear the minion, you still get the 5 minions with Feoris.
Yeah.
So you're good to go. Okay, because I was like, Super Collider tends to not really work well with a War Druid Lodi in the mix.
Yeah.
Purple has another Armadillo opportunity. I think he's a little bit afraid, given that there is a 4/6. But if he had Dynamatic, that'd be super good in this spot.
It's going to be a really big Ziliax, though.
Yeah, the Ziliax will help with rebounding into the life total if we get to that stage.
Also a really big Furious Etten.
Well, that's kind of an awkward draw here for StrifeCro. He might have to innervate first, given that he has 5 other spells in the hand and does not want to innervate to summon. Although, maybe some interaction questions, TJ. King Fair summon left to right. It should be 4-3-6-6-5-0. It does not.
No, it summons in red.
Desert Obelisk. If you control 3 of these in your turn, deal 5 damage to a random enemy. That seems like one of the worst options you can get.
Is it, though? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I was thinking, oh, there's something you could do with Floop and Elise, but no. I don't think there's any way you can put it back in the hand.
I mean, you're sort of anticipating a brawl in this position anyways. So if your opponent doesn't brawl and doesn't Warpath, you feel like that there's a pretty good chance you win. That being said, Purple does have a clear, I believe.
Not quite.
Because he can't swing at 1 health minions with a Super Collider and 4
Yeah,
attack.
he can leave a 5/1 on board. You would attack the Super Collider into the Tendi, the Tending Torrent, and then the Quadruple Warpath will leave a 5/1 up. And a 0/1 Desert Obelisk.
Unity. Precision.
Looks like he's going to cash in here.
Yep. This is not an order mistake. This is very purposeful for Purple. So clear off as much as the board.
Glass Knight in an Oasis.
That is funny. That is very funny. StrifeCro would like to also remove this 9/9 and swipe afterwards, but it doesn't seem like it's
Yeah.
a very accessible form of removal, given that he only has 7 damage on the board right now. That extra 2/2 buff coming in huge here for Purple.
Yeah. Very difficult to deal with, and I do like this play from Purple. I would even like it if he had Brawl in hand. Reason being is because if you can narrow down a board state to very little power, like he just did, without using Brawl or Plague of Wrath, I think you should always go for it because you need so many waves of removal for all of the waves of threats that Druid presents. And we've seen a lot of Warriors losing to Druids because they just run out of stuff, run out of removal.
Hex here would be exactly what StrifeCro wants. Finds it. And with Zephyr's active and Zephyr's being played, StrifeCro going for the Anubis Defender as well. Okay. Well, that replaces the Zephyrus, which makes his lethal setup a little bit weaker. I mean, this is still 13 damage on the board, so if he picked up Cenarius, it'd be great. Part of me still kind of wish that StrifeCro didn't play that defender, so that way he could have Zephyrus be...
yeah, but he does have... He's playing the super greedy version, not the ultimate greedy version with Elise, but... he's playing Chef Nomi and King Feoris.
Okay, so you could still play the Chef Nomi.
Yeah, and since Purple's playing Control Warrior without like a super significant win condition, outside of just grinding your opponent out of resources, he can't afford to wait until Chef Nomi, considering he only has 8 cards left in his deck, and 2 of those cards in his deck being Nourishes. So he can aggressively draw. Oh, that's a 10-10. But also a War Druid Lodi, which I love.
Right. So what Lodi allows you to do is actually to Ferocious Howl twice and then get closer to the bottom of your deck. Because now it seems to me that the win condition has turned into Chef Nomi into Floop. So I think if he takes this War Druid Lodi, then we have an opportunity to Ferocious Howl twice and play Lodi. Next turn, either play Hidden Oasis and Starfall combination, or just utilize all the spell damage to push through.
Yeah.
There's still a handful of cards in his deck that might be really useful too. Oasis Surger and Cenarius come to mind.
Yeah.
So I like
his bottom 7 is Crystal Merchant, Double Nourish, Swipe, Oasis Surger, Hidden Oasis, and Cenarius. So he has Cenarius and Oasis Surger in his bottom 7, which are, you know, big threats.
I think I still kind of like the idea of playing the Ferocious Howl and the War Druid Lodi. The reason being is that you can use Hidden Oasis as a way to heal minions for tempo. Healing your face isn't really that important in my opinion. Also, he would have let Purple extend more onto the board, pick the trade, and then heal, which would have been more guaranteed. Because 6 health on the War Druid Lodi means that it's difficult for Purple to dynamatic clear.
Yeah.
Crystal Merchant gets StrifeCro 1 card deeper. Does have Ferocious Howl as well, so with those 2 forms of card draw, should be able to deck out next turn. I think that is fairly important for StrifeCro, because the longer he waits, the more that his opponent has a chance to get the threats down. This is good too. By playing the War Druid Lodi, he sets up.
And any other play, like if he Ferocious Howl there, he risks overdrawing. And his bottom 2 right now are Cenarius and Oasis Surger, and definitely doesn't want to get rid of any of those.
Sure.
But sorry, go ahead.
No, you're right. I was just saying, like, that makes sense. I do think that the armor is really valuable. I think Druid's game plan will be determined way beforehand. Wow, Purple with an early Archivist Elysiana.
Well, he knows that there's 2 waves of Nomis coming starting next turn. And
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
These are pretty weak.
Yeah.
Execute.
That's probably going to be concede.
I'm almost out of cards.
I don't know what he can do.
Why is your answer to everything concede?
Well, how does he beat Nomis? Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he's going to beat Nomis.
I don't think there's a single way he survives 1 Nomi.
Didn't he have Sweeping Strikes? He could, like...
He didn't have Dr. Boom, so he couldn't rush
Restless Mummy.
He could Restless Mummy, Sweeping Strikes, he'd draw 1 card next turn, or at most.
Yeah.
So he rests his Mummy, Sweeping Strikes, he only has 4 mana to work with, and he clears off...
Like 3 at best.
1 at best.
Well, I mean, if he has multiple forms of removal because based off his hand. But
yeah, with 4 mana, yeah, he could have cleared off 3 because he had double Restless. No, he only had 1. So it's he was looking specifically for 2 forms of board-wide removal.
Sure.
And didn't find it and realized that he had no way to beat 2 Nomi, so not surprised there.
Sure. Purple's going to drop this game. StrifeCro with an important win as he sits in 7th place looking to move up in Division A. We're going to take a break. When we come back, more Hearthstone Grandmasters action.
Well met, friend. Ooh.
Let's get this over with. I win!
Oh, what an amazing game! Oh, well played!
Here's to the winner.
Mazahidul Islam. I go by Mozzie in game. My username, as you know, my first name is Mazahidul. It's kind of difficult to say for some people, and every time someone calls you, they're gonna have to say, "Hey, Mazahidul." That's long, and you don't want to say that. My friend gave me a nickname, like, "Hey Muzz, hey Muzzie." So I sort of just took that, and name's Muzzie. I took a look at the list of players. Some of them have been more focused on streaming, I would say, in these past few years. I've participated at the highest levels of competition that they might not have appeared in. I'm the player to beat in my group, for sure. The thing that I most look forward to about competing in Grandmasters is the thrill of the competition. It's really why I play Hearthstone. It's what I've enjoyed doing for the past 3-4 years, and it's what I'll continue to enjoy doing, hopefully. I think Hearthstone Instinct is definitely my greatest skill set. I think that if I took a break for a while and didn't play the game and came back to new cards, I think I could pilot a new deck fairly well, fairly quickly. People would always mention the term burnout to me. Burnout, burnout, burnout. I didn't know what it was. I would constantly play Hearthstone all the time. I definitely want to have more titles and put my name in Hearthstone history.
StrifeCro currently up 1-0 in a much-needed victory. A win here would put ETC in sole possession of last place. And remember, relegation is on the line. We're going to bring up dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of times this season because some players might have their Hearthstone competitive pro career end after this season, TJ. Because some players are saying, you know what? I've had a good time. I worked really hard, but if I fall out of Grandmasters, I know that my chance of requalifying is going to be really low.
Yeah.
Which I feel a little bit sad to hear because I feel like they're being overly pessimistic. I mean, if you've grinded your way to get here in the first place, that means you have what it takes to grind back. But some players, they're very vocal about if they drop out, that's it for them. So looking at StrifeCro, Zalay, and Amnesiac, those three will be playing today. All of them need W's as we go into game number 2. Warrior versus the Zoo Warlock.
Yeah,
Was that dramatic enough for you, TJ?
It was very dramatic.
Is the stage set?
You sent a tingle down my spine.
Yes.
A tingle of worry.
That's right. And I will now remove my hand from your back.
Thank you. Well, talking about this matchup a little bit, StrifeCro is playing a pretty unique version of the deck, all things considered. He has 2 beaming sidekicks. He has a Crazed Alchemist, and he also has the Dark Pharaoh Tikan. He has a Disease Vulture, but he doesn't play Spirit Bomb or Nephrosit Thrasher. So his ways to damage himself are Flame Imp, Crystallizer, and the Life Tap. And he feels like that's enough, considering he's playing a much leaner curve than most players, and the Dark Pharaoh Tikan, which is not something that we see very often. And I am unsure how I feel about it.
Scary.
Because I feel like the games where I do play Dark Pharaoh Tikan and win, I was already far enough ahead to win anyway. But it is interesting. It gives you more of a mid-game punch, but at the same time, StrifeCro's cut some of his mid-game. So it's a cool deck, but very unique as far as Zoo Warlock's deck go, I would say.
This place is scary.
Well, StrifeCro being on the coin and getting the Flame Imp slash Voidwalker online, a massive start. This matchup is awful for Zoo Warlock. It is one of Zoo Warlock's worst, if not its worst matchup, at least based off popular data and decks on the ladder. And you can see why. Purple has so many defensive tools early on. Hecklebot might end up being a punish, but more often than not should be exactly what is the doctor order, because it'd be a 3-8, and I think the Sea Giant already is in hand of StrifeCro.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing I will say is that StrifeCro also has a great starting hand.
He does. He went with the classic Zoo start of Flame Imp Coin Voidwalker into Direwolf Alpha. That is the amount of times I've seen that in my entire Hearthstone career, dating back to 2014, is a lot. Dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands, Dan.
Same. Now, StrifeCro has a choice of his poison. Does he play around things like Restless Mummy? Does he play around things like Warpath? Does he play around other things that he's not necessarily accounting for, like Shield Slam Weapons Project? If he power loads everything into one minion, single target removal is really good. If he spreads it too wide, Warpath becomes also very good. The nice thing about Evil Cable Rat, he replaces something into his hand, so he's not completely stranded. But for Purple, I'd be hard-pressed to see another play besides Warpath.
Yeah. I do like this play from StrifeCro. You honestly don't really have the option in most scenarios to play around Warpath as Zoo Warlock. He did play around Restless Mummy by putting the Evil Cable Rat next to Direwolf Alpha after attacking with Voidwalker. So he had a 1-1 taunt in play, so Restless Mummy would have just traded in there, been a 3-1, and StrifeCro gets to keep pushing damage. I think he was trying to find a way to be able to Sea Giant if that play happened also, but he couldn't because one trade would have happened. It would have been a 1-for-1 trade, and he would have had 5 mana Sea Giant going into a 4-mana turn.
Yeah, the exception would be if he ended up getting Faceless Lackey off of the Evil Cable Rat. StrifeCro picks up Dark Pharaoh Tikan. This card, a lot of people were very excited because they felt like it was, well, they compared it to Quest Rogue. They said 5-minute quest or 5-minute reward. You play it, all your lackeys become 4/4s. Not that simple, given that Lackey Generator is nowhere near as simple as playing cheap minions in your deck. But there's still a lot of them. And so StrifeCro getting this out early might give Zoo Warlock a fighting chance. Might.
It might, but purple has a really good curve coming up. He could Weapons Project down this Knife Juggler, and then Harrison Jones next turn for 2 draws plus a Shield Slam on something that were to come out.
Looks good to me.
Yeah, so I'd like the armor up here over the Frightened Flunky.
Right, you don't want to give the weapon value.
You don't want to give the weapon value, and also you want to make sure that you're going to be at a high enough life total to Shield Slam something important after playing Harrison Jones. Because Harrison Jones, outside of drawing cards, doesn't have immediate impact on the board. So you want to make sure that you do have immediate impact. And this is going to be pretty much a perfect setup for purple, where he gets the Harrison Jones, Shield Slam the Dark Pharaoh Takan, and pretty much just run away with the game from there, unless something crazy happened from StrifeCro, like he draws all of his lackey cards in the next couple turns and snowballs the game with 4 wars. That's unlikely.
Well, Dark Pharaoh Takan doesn't really have the best of win rates, but relative to what other Zoo Warlock cards do, it tends to be pretty decent. When Dark Pharaoh Takan is played on 5, on average, Zoo Warlock's win rate against Warrior is 50%. I'll take that, DJ.
I'll take that too. Yeah, but also, I'm pretty sure if you look at statistics, Neferset Thrasher is also pretty high up there against Warrior.
Sure.
And StrifeCro doesn't have it in his deck, so he's trading one card that's good against Warrior for another card that's not good against, or that's good against Warrior. So it's like a net positive, all things considered.
No tune can hold me.
Neferset Thrasher's average win rate is consistently below 50% against Warrior.
Like a lot below 50%?
Significant. It looks like its average turn 3 win percentage is 40%.
What's the overall deck win percentage?
Well, this is just the average when it's played as a card against Warrior. Of course, this could be in a variety of different Warlock cards. I'm just taking public data out there. It's not a specific deck.
So Dark Pharaoh Takan is better.
Is better on average when you play it on curve against Warrior. Now, of course, this is data that you have to interpret. Well, actually, okay, so I play a handful of Takan myself, and I feel like when you have Evil Recruiter in the deck, you actually don't want to destroy your lackey anymore, because that takes away from your tempo. You're usually trying to upgrade your lackeys significantly by upgrading by +1/+1. It's not that big of a swing anymore.
Well, you can trade and then make the 5/5. That's where it gets a lot of its value.
It's usually not super good.
Yeah.
Compared to how it was before. Double Sea Giant. StrifeCro is very far behind. Not picking up his lackeys after all that investment.
Yeah.
This is looking very bad, because now Purple has the opportunity to go aggressive. And also good on Purple to not just think that he could play Hecklebot and just allow StrifeCro to potentially pick up Sea Giants for free and trade into things. StrifeCro's in big trouble.
Yeah, and he tapped really fast that turn. I think if he really was trying to fight to the bitter end, Sea Giant, it's a turn. Next turn, it's a turn before a Mega Devastator. You might be able to clean up, maybe pick up a lackey card and can evolve it to heal it after trading.
Yeah, I think I like playing Sea Giant that turn.
Because
yeah,
it's likely Sea Giant's going to be able to come down next turn, but now StrifeCro picks apart all these little minions and then has weakened minions to then fight the Sea Giant, whereas if you'd done this earlier, you'd have full health minions trying to fight the Sea Giant, and you're not vulnerable to a Mega Devastator, which now, every turn from now on when you play it, you would be. Maybe he wants to go for double Sea Giant for a big swing, but I think that's too hopeful.
So the only thing about this play from Purple that I'm slightly concerned about is the idea of the opponent can get a lackey and get something to swing the board dramatically, like a Siphon Soul. Like if they played that much damage invested into minions kind of hurts, but that's exactly what the Control Warrior does, which is Warlock will naturally kill themselves by life tapping.
You win.
StrifeCro concedes. Control Warrior cruises to a victory. Dark Pharaoh Takan with no follow-up. That's what happens. He initiated the team fight, and all of his teams were still healing at the Nexus.
Yep.
Happens.
Or taking the blue buff. 40 minutes into the game as 4.
That's right.
Whichever.
For some reason, AF came farming the bottom lane, even though everyone agreed to push down the middle. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, all been there. So, game 2 in the Bucks, both warriors are gone. Or, sorry, one warrior's gone, so we can't have 2 warriors. And it'll come down to Zoo, Druid versus Warrior. Oh, sorry, Zoo, Druid. Yeah, Zoo and Druid versus Zoo and Warrior. Getting a little mixed up without having Priest there.
Yeah.
In the mix.
It's an interesting situation for StrifeCro because Zoo Warlock has a mirror matchup and a good matchup, and Warrior has a Druid matchup, which a lot of players are still on the fence about. Let's take a look at StrifeCro's Warrior. 1 Plague of Wrath, Super Collider, double Brawl. It's reasonable, but I still think Druid has the edge.
I would say that he nets positive EV by playing Zoo Warlock because then he has a mirror or he has a positive one versus a negative one and a good one.
Yes.
So it's slightly better. That being said, is it truly a mirror though? If Purple has a better Zoo Warlock for the mirror with things like Magic Carpet combos?
He does not. He does have the Neferset Thrasher and 1 Sea Giant.
I am not a fan of the Thrasher and Zoo Warlock mirrors because you trade a lot in that matchup.
You trade a lot.
And you end up taking a lot of damage.
Yes, and 4 damage is not great when you're trading, honestly. Like, you're putting 4 damage into 3 health minions. And if you look at what your opponent's going to be doing,
oh wow,
if they Evil Recruiter, then what do? You trade into the 3/3, and then you take 8 because you're taking 3 from trading in, and then you take 5 from the backswing, and then you have to have something else to even get through the 5/5. So it's a pretty poor card in the mirror, and I think you'd rather have more like board-centric tools where StrifeCro has the Beaming Sidekicks. He has Crazed Alchemist. Those things can be pretty big when you're fighting for board in the early game. So that's I'm very surprised because of those things that StrifeCro did not go with.
Seemed like he was really thinking that Purple was going to go for the Warlock, and him trying to play the Warrior to get the guaranteed edge because I think he feels like he wouldn't win the Zoo Warlock mirror.
I think he would, but also I think this Zoo Warlock is worse against Druid.
That's also fair.
Because it feels slower, and the additional tools that he has to control the board early don't matter against Druid because they don't build a board early. You just want maximum power and stats on board.
There's still Flame Imp.
There's still Flame Imp, but there's also Beaming Sidekick.
Talk crap about my man Beaming Sidekick. I think Beaming Sidekick's pretty solid in Zoo. I don't think it's amazing, but I mean,
not against. Maybe against Druid because he can make. I don't know.
yeah, it's good. It's like better
I'm
against
trying
AoE.
I'm trying to justify the Warrior pick, but I don't know.
Well, I think you. I think
It's just a hard read.
It's a mind
It's a mind game. It's a hard read.
It's a mind game saying like, I think he thinks that my best thing is to do Zoo, so he's not going to play Druid.
Or he thinks that his Warrior's favored against Druid.
Which is, I mean, I can just look up more data here. Let's see.
Yeah. Because Purple's playing a pretty a greedier version, but not like the greediest version. He has Chef Nomi and King Feoris, which some players cut one of each. He does not have Elysian Enlightened. He has Bees.
This place is scary.
At Legend rank, across a sample size of a few thousand games, Quest Druid has a 55 advantage over a Control Warrior.
I would say that's pretty accurate, actually. I haven't agreed with a lot of the stats today, but I'd say that one's pretty accurate.
Yeah, like an edge, but not a massive, unwinnable edge.
Yeah.
Warrior. Unwinnable starts to get to the 60-something territory where you're like, whew, that feels really hard to win.
Yeah. Oh, Hecklebot.
Because that means that they'll win on average like twice as much as you do, which
Yeah.
makes it feel like a really bad matchup.
Yeah. The Hecklebot, I think, is big against Druid because a lot of the minions that they play have these massive effects.
Yes, pull out Cenarius, pull out Zephyrus.
No tune can hold me.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I think players like Race and Eddie and I think Monsanto.
They do tend to practice together.
are playing the like Baleful Banker, Faceless Manipulator, double Hecklebot version of Control Warrior.
No tune can hold me.
Quest complete.
Dinomatic, but everything on the board is not a mech. StrifeCro can play one of the most basic taunts that you can have in the game, the Booty Bay Bodyguard, which is a great name for a bar.
A great name for a bouncer at a bar or just a bar?
Either, actually, yeah, because they would be the bouncer, the Booty Bay Bodyguard bouncer.
Why don't you just call the bar Booty Bay? And then
The Booty Bay Bar.
the Booty Bay Bar. And then the
He'd be at the
and then
Booty
the
Bay
bouncers are the Booty Bay bodyguards.
Well, it makes sense because I do remember playing a little bit of WoW. I do remember visiting Booty Bay and thinking, wow, there's just a lot of drunk.
Get behind me.
And then all the booties in the bar are Booty Bay booties.
It's true. True that. Well flavored. Swipe looks really good here. Like really, really good here.
Oh yeah.
It's hard for me to justify another play.
You start from scratch.
Yeah, but you're okay with that, given that it seemed like Warrior was mounting quite the offensive.
He wants a board. And he wants to play on curve.
Okay, I mean, it's fine. Does give up a convenient answer to our Megadillo, but I guess he does have the 2 Oasis Searchers.
Yeah, and by keeping 2 Bs around, he gets to only have to trade in 1 Oasis Searcher and keeps 1 healthy.
Right, so I like that. I mean,
Yeah.
in hindsight, looks fairly obvious, but during, it's kind of hard to ignore the cleanness of the play, cleanliness.
That is a big Armageddon buff.
Yes, and I think that the fact that Purple wants to trade with these 1/1s makes it very annoying for StrifeCro. Keeping those 1/1s are going to pay off.
All right, let's go again.
Yeah, I think going again is okay. I also think that playing the Arternium Rover seems pretty solid too. Just to give you a little bit of armor, a little bit of pluck, give you something to magnetize Iliacs onto perhaps. Then again, you could also do it next turn. Looking for alternative plays here. Hecklebot does not look very good to me.
This is, I mean, it's weird because Armageddillo, you don't want your Armageddillo to be traded in by like a 5-1 in a wrath. That doesn't feel good. But he's got these massive taunt minis in hand. He's got Dynamatic and Dr. Boom Mad Genius. All right, Nourish drawing some cards, getting some mana. A lot of goodies being picked up. Dan, I'm a big fan of goodies.
Wow, Purple's picking up all the minions that aren't his big bombs. I'm starting to stress a little bit here for Purple. When he's going to be able to get out all that stuff for Hecklebot.
Yeah. The longer he goes without drawing one of his big bombs, the better the Hecklebot gets.
Looks good right now. 7-12. And he has shield block, shield slam, so he should be able to deal with everything that comes out. He's thinking, okay, I saw a defender. I saw a crystal merchant. Is there anything else that I want to like be able to see before I pull it out? If you could choose to pull out one thing, what would you want to pull?
Nomi.
Maybe I'd also be okay with pulling Floop, given that it stops my opponent's ability to set up 2 turns of big wave threats. But Nomi is also probably the biggest concern.
Yeah. Nomi and Feoris stop 2. Where Floop stops them all. Because if you pull... Oh, no, they both stop 2. They all stop 2 waves of threats. Yeah, I'd rather pull out Flute, I think.
Oh, hold on. I said that you could remove everything. You can't remove scenarios. Still, though?
Still a 712 in play.
Still 712.
That's also a mech that can be attached with Ziliax.
Yeah, or Snip Snap.
He does have Lodi, though, and I wonder if he is keen on using Lodi to push 8 damage here.
Yeah, Lodi and Crystal Merchant seem perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Behold, jewels of the sun. Power takes many.
It is kind of painful to lose your Wardrobe Lodi like that.
Yeah.
But you are ahead. The scenarios being pulled out probably give StrifeCro some relief, actually.
Yeah, he doesn't have to worry about those wide board states killing him from a pretty high life total.
Now he can play Dr. Boom Mad Genius and try to clean up after the fact.
Yep. I also like the sequencing from Purple last turn. He played the Crystal Merchant before the Lodi to make sure that he had Lodi loaded up into the Floop. Just in case, right? It's rare that you're going to Floop for Lodi in that matchup, in this matchup, because you have so many big bombs like Feoris and Nomi and Cenarius that you'd want to play otherwise, but it is just kind of a very small thing that could give him an edge in the long run. He definitely doesn't want a Crystal Merchant.
Swipe to the face. Probably does not want to spend Hidden Oasis before he plays Feoris. Warpath. StrifeCro has... Does he have a clear with the Snip Snaps and whatnot? It's close.
I mean...
It's not, though.
He almost has a... Well, he has a clear on everything but the Crystal Merchant with Ziliax Russ's Mummy.
What if he just like Dynamax and Hero Powers? I don't think he will clear off enough either.
No. Oh, wait, no. Not quite a clear with Ziliax Russ's Mummy. I thought Ziliax was at 9 attack, but it was only 2.
Light the fuses!
So Hero Power or Restless Mummy here will clear off most things. I think StrifeCro does want to kill the Crystal Merchant as a priority. I'd be hard-pressed for him to not utilize his Hero Power in this position, given that it is free 3 damage. An alternative, so he also could play Snip
This would be
Snap.
a good time for a minute. Oh, I love that fuse thing.
Snip Snap Hero Power would clear off the 5/6.
Job's done.
Just utilizing his mana.
Yeah.
I think he wants to stick a minion on the board. He knows he's probably going to take a little bit more damage than use Ziliax to bounce back. I like it. But StrifeCro's got bigger problems. King Feoris with 3 6-mana minions and a 5-mana minion.
And a 4-mana minion.
Purple thinking, like, should I dump these Innervates to improve
He
the
should.
board?
I think he should. He's going to King Feoris plus 5 spells. If he dumps both Innervates, and they're all high-value spells, which would be a full board, because he can't trade in Cenarius here. So, double Innervate Feoris. It also dumps some of his hand, so he can nourish to get closer to Chef Nomi. All right, what's in the box?
Our power is in our...
Pretty average stuff all around.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
With Kaboom.
Does end up losing his own 5/6 though in the process.
Oh, he does get 2 1/1s.
This would be a good time for
Which
a
probably don't matter, but might allow him to make a few trades in Warpath next turn if Purple decides to floop the Feoris.
What if he just ward pass now? I guess he loses the Kaboom Hero Power.
He loses the Kaboom Hero Power, but he does clear off everything except it would be a 5/1 Cenarius.
This would be a good time for
He also
master
loses
plan.
Warpath. He loses both of his activators for Plague of Wrath, which
Yeah.
means he doesn't have a way to deal with flipped King Feoris next turn unless he gets a Brawl off the top.
Oh, I love that.
But if he expects Purple to maybe have a read on a Brawl or Plague of Wrath in hand, or a Brawl in hand, then Purple would hold on to Fluke and Fluke the Nomi. Oh, this is smart. He gets to keep his 5-1. Okay, I like that.
Purple, very close to lethal. Had he picked up a way to activate Zephyrs, he would be able to get the Fireball this turn. He would be able to swipe face.
Yeah. He still has, what are his duplicates in his deck?
Just short, I think.
Our power is in our people.
Still, though, this is a lot of presence on the board. Decent stats. Another Grawl. Very unusual. Worthy Expedition. And Wrath, 2 of them. 2 Worthy Expeditions.
Oh, he can... I was going to say Wrath
Just remove the power on the board, but it actually ends up creating a situation where StrifeCro is clear.
He could have Wrathed his Xerix.
Oh! Well, there you go. 1-1 straight into the 4-2. Warpath and Plague of Wrath. Although, still have to be really mindful of... 1, you're healing your opponent for 8.
A good time
so
for a master
they're going to have a
plan.
huge life advantage over you. But I guess, second thing is, are you prepared for the following turn?
Well, he could...
Chef Novi comes out.
He could just bump into the 2 5-health minions, Warpath and Blast Shield. And then he gets Kaboom for Plague of Wrath. He could have a chance for Kaboom for Plague of Wrath.
Oh, okay. I like that too.
Because that's a board clear. He gains he gets to gain the health.
Yeah, I like that. I want to gain the life so that way there's no like Zephyrus kills here.
He could buy a turn with Ziliax and Restless Mummy.
Sure.
No tune can hold me.
Because this is less power than Nomi is going to be.
Oh, that's right.
And then hold on to Warpath Plague of Wrath for the Nomi, because the Nomi is the last wave.
That's a good point. I like this hold. He gets Kaboom!
Cards.
But
Purple has so much. In fact, this is just...
is there. You're guaranteed dead, right? He made the play that guarantees he dies.
Yeah, he made 100% losing.
100% losing play. He has a Brawl left in his deck. A play could be to clear the board there with Warpath. You either get Kaboom plus Plague of Wrath for an out, or a Brawl off the top for an out. So it's
yeah. So you know when you know that.
rely on a either a Kaboom hero power or a top deck Brawl to win.
Sure.
But you know, Starfall, Zephyr is both available. He should be able to count that Starfall kills it. Plus, Zephyr keeps Savage Roar guaranteed with exactly 3 mana remaining. So made the losing play.
Okay. Purple is joining us on the line. Purple, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. What's up, Frodan? What's up, TJ?
Not much. Heard you want to speed run this interview, so why don't you summarize in 15 seconds or less how that series was for you?
All right. Well, we played the mirror, right? So neither of us wanted to play the priest mirror because that's stupid. Because we both think we're incredibly good and handsome. So why let 4 cards decide the outcome of a game?
Yep.
So we both didn't pick priest, ban priest because screw that. Played some nice long games with the Strife. We had better games in my series with Bat. It was at least fun.
Cool. Thanks for joining us, Purple. Good luck.
Catch you next time.